like add this to the CloudMD, and I'll do this, like many times a week.
Do you have to like compact the CloudMD? Like I definitely reached a point where I got the message at the top saying your CloudMD is like thousands of tokens now. What do you do when you guys hit that?
So our CloudMD is actually pretty short. I think it's like a couple thousand tokens, maybe something like that. If you hit this, my recommendation would be delete your CloudMD and just start fresh.
Interesting.
I think a lot of people they try to over-engineer this, right? And really the capability changes with every model. And so the thing that you want is do the minimal possible thing in order to get the model on track. And so if you delete your CloudMD and then, the model is getting off track, it does the wrong thing, that's when you kind of add back a little bit at a time. And what you're probably going to find is with every model, you have to add less and less. For me, I consider myself a pretty average engineer, to be honest. I don't use a lot of fancy tools. I don't use Vim. I use, VS Code because it's simpler. I don't
really? I would have assumed that because you built this in the terminal that you were sort of like a diehard terminal, Vim only person. Screw those VS code people.
Well, we have people like that on the team. There's, like Adam Wolf, for example. He's on the team. He's like, you will never take Vim for my cold dead hands. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of people like that on the team, and this is one of the things that I learned early on is every engineer likes to hold their dev tools differently. They like to use different tools. There's just no one tool that works for everyone. But I think also this is one of the things that makes it possible for Claude Code to be so good, because I kind of think about it as what is the product that I would use that makes sense to me. And so to use Claude Code, you don't have to understand Vim. You don't have to understand Tmux. You don't have to know how to SSH. You don't have to know all this stuff. You just have to open up the
How can a Capital One 360 performance savings account with one of the best savings rates in America help you grow your money? Set automatic savings rules to easily...
I never really understood physics. Back. Orb of virtue. This field followed the same shape at every scale. But when Gilbert tested the other magic rock, amber, he found something strange. The attraction could be blocked. A single sheet of paper stopped it, and wind can blow it around. He gave it a name, electricus, the Greek word for amber. And this electric force remained a mystery for another century until an accidental discovery in 1729. Stephen Gray was exploring the force created by rubbing objects and holding them near lightweight things. And he stumbled onto something unexpected. The force could travel down a wire. Set up a small ball like styrofoam and run a wire to a charged object like a balloon you rub on fur. When you bring the charged object to one end of the wire, the force travels down the line and pulls on the ball as if it was beside it. There was no way this was a scent, so a new analogy emerged. Electricity was an invisible, weightless fluid that could travel down wires like water through a pipe. So by now we had two invisible forces, and they seemed completely different at this moment in history. One was a shape, the other was a flow. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. I use NordVPN because so much of my work is public. It's on all my laptops since I'm constantly researching on different networks. For example, what I noticed right now is criminals are using AI to clone voices from audio found online and then calling banks to authorize payments. My voice is literally a security vulnerability right now. And so with NordVPN, one click encrypts everything. Threat protection also blocks malicious sites and trackers even when I'm not using it, so you're totally covered. And with just one account, you can use it on up to 10 devices. When you use my link, you'll get a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 additional bonus months. Get it at nordvpn.com/AOTP. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and it's the best deal on the internet. Get it at nordvpn.com/AOTP or click the link in the description below. That changed in 1820 when a Danish professor, Ørsted, was playing with electric current near a compass. And when he connected the wire to a battery, the compass needle twitched. This meant that a moving electric charge creates a magnetic field. And this force wraps around the wire in circles, forming a vortex pattern. And this discovery inspired Michael Faraday. And after 10 years of experiments, he shocked the world when he showed it worked the other way. In 1831, he shook a magnet near a wire and measured an electric current which appeared in the wire at that instant. There was no battery, no contact being made, just motion created it. This finally proved these two forces can create each other. And if the magnetic force is a field, then the electrical force must be a field too. It wasn't a fluid, it was a field all along. And Faraday called them lines of force. But one super interesting question remained. If you move a magnet, does a nearby magnet feel it instantly? Or does that change ripple outward, taking time to cross the space between them? This leads to Maxwell, who set out to answer this. And so first he needed a mechanism, something that could physically show how force moves through space. And so he created one of the most impressive thought experiments in history. First, he imagined the space all around us filled with tiny invisible vortices. Think of them like rolling pins all packed together. And to keep them from getting stuck, he added small ball bearings wedged between them to allow them to spin freely in either direction. Spin one vortex and the balls transfer that rotation to the next and so on. And the disturbance travels like a wave through the medium. This mechanism he made up in his mind actually predicted how waves could travel through space. But he took it one step further. He wanted the speed of this wave. In physics, we learn that a wave traveling through any medium, water, air, a bedsheet, a spring, its speed depends on just two things: how stiff it is and how heavy it is. If it's stiffer, the wave moves faster. If it's heavier, it moves slower. And so Maxwell needed an answer. How stiff is this field and how heavy is it? Now, heaviness was defined by his vortices. They were like flywheels, how hard they are to spin. One spinning